Hi, everybody. Welcome again back to the show, Sunday night, 7 o'clock. We have a special show about support services for the local scene. That includes photography, videography, sound, lighting, and press. And I was trying to get some booking people on as well, but they may still show up. And we're going to talk to a number of people, starting with Mr. Randy Decker from Dex Pro Lighting, Jason Jaybird LeJuene, Full Spectrum Audio and Entertainment, Miss Amy Modesti.
Hi.
Remind me, Amy, what was the publications that you write for?
I write for the East Press. It's at 518. Radio X is the experience of the Nippertown.
Right. And Jim Gilbert from Nippertown. And Stephanie Bartik from New York Rockstar Photography. And I've got a couple of special guests that are going to join us from the Dazed and Confused podcast. Fuzzy, Sir Fuzzy. And David, that Dazed and Confused is named after. They support a certain genre of music, so that's going to be part of what I want to talk to them about. Our friend Cherry. Hi, Cherry. Thanks for being here. She's probably doing a watch party, so we're going to get some viewers from that. My first question. Do I hear a dog?
That's your first question?
No.
No.
But I thought I just heard a dog.
Now my dog is barking.
So I have good ears when it comes.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, that was a good, easy first question. All right, what's the second one?
I have good ears when it comes to dogs.
Oh, we love dogs.
Yes, we love dogs. Oh my. Okay, so we're going to start clockwise with Randy, and we want to know how you first got involved in the local music scene in the role that you're in right now, lighting for Randy and so on. So let's start with you, Randy. You want to tell us your story?
Should we play our theme song before we get going here?
Oh, you want to play my theme song? Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Here's the story of a lovely lady.
You did it.
Nice.
And I'm in the right spot because this is where Marcia is on the show. I'm in my right spot.
I'm supposed to be.
So I'm Alice.
I got Cindy.
Yes.
I think I got Peter.
I'm gonna tell on all you guys now. I'm gonna tattle.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So that was fun. So Randy, what? How did you get involved?
Well, it's a long story, but let's shorten it up. I mean, it started when I was 6 years old, but to get into the scene I'm in right now, started around 2003. My cousin Pat Decker, he was a singer for the band Permagrin, which is a jam band, by the way, but they're one of the better ones.
We like jam. We're not saying anything bad about jam.
Well, they're not together anymore, but I managed them. I did lighting. I booked shows for them. I did their website. Did pretty much everything you could do for a band. And that's how I got back into it. And over the years, they stopped, and I worked with a band called Potbelly, and I worked with Vinnie Michaels' band, and now I'm with Tommy V Live, which I love. And Tommy V Live is more my style of music from where I started back when I lived in Houston. So.
Right. So, my only question is, are you in the right now? Are you in the position that you want to be in, and you're comfortable where you are, and you want to stay that way? Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah. Working with Tommy, it's like a dream because they're probably one of the most professional bands I've worked with. They know what they want. They know how they want it, and they also allow me to exercise my artistic ability with the lights to do things that I want.
And that's good. That's good.
I'll tell you.
We work together that way.
Stephanie did a photo shoot of Tommy V Live in the garage, and you did the lighting,
Correct.
And it was fabulous. It was so on point. It looked, you couldn't tell it was in a garage. It looked like a big time show, and The photos were great, of course. The lighting was spectacular. The music was probably okay too, but we're talking about support staff here, so like
Right.
the
They're not
photos and lighting.
important.
The photos and lighting were great. Nah, actually,
Yeah.
the music
Well,
was
that
great
No,
too.
they
That was
really
actually-
were. I watched that show.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was actually our objective, is to create the illusion that you were not in a garage, that we were in a club. So
Right.
we lined the whole garage with black backdrops, and I set it up so it tried to make the stage. The way we videotaped it sideways makes it look like it's a bigger area than if you.
I
go
saw
straight
that.
up.
That was neat. That was really neat.
You did a really, really great job. You really did.
Ryan
If
Nilsson,
they
the
saw-
sound guy, he
If
was
they
the
saw the
big-
way you had that set up, and the
he's
room.
definitely the guy that made it work for video wise.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Jason.
One thing you should do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. One thing, Randy. As a lighting person, you should always let the photographer know if you're having pyromaniacs, like just crazy flashes
Yes.
of fire, because
Yes.
all of a sudden it got really hot. It's like, what's that?
I've been on stage for pyrotechnics. Holy,
But
it
this,
is hot.
All right, I'll beat.
It
Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can beat that. Have you guys ever been standing in front of a stage with a camera and had an inflatable tube guy jump up in the air in front of you and scare the shit out of you?
No.
I had that. I had that.
I had an inflatable shark hit me in the back.
Oh, this guy, the inflatable guy went up. He was like, I don't know, 15 feet tall. And then when they let the air out of him, he fell down on top of me. Yeah,
Are you talking about on stage or in our personal lives?
on stage. Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah, no. Then not,
I don't
no,
do
no,
inflatables. I don't do inflatables. Jason.
Yes.
Just for the record, the
Yeah.
pyrotechnics, it did not heat up the room. It was just hot as hell that day.
Oh, it
There
was.
you go.
The pyrotechnics
It was a
I
garage.
have they're called cold spark machines, and they burn at a temperature of 62.5 degrees. So they will not
Yep.
not even a piece of paper on fire. So,
That's cool.
Okay, Mr. Full Spectrum. Jay.
Yes.
How'd you get started?
7 years ago, I started because I was sick of my day job and wanted to do something I liked. And I didn't know until 7 years ago you could put on shows and do sound and get paid for it. I've been in the audio ever since I was little, with sound systems and everything else in my car. And so 7 years ago, I found that the lovely place in Albany, the New School of Radio and Television, which I am a graduate of.
Yay.
I decided I wanted to change. I went there. I thought I was going to work in a recording studio, but then realized nobody has money to be going in a recording studio. Everybody plays live. Maybe I should get into live. So I graduated, hit the ground running, knowing nothing, or knowing no one and having nothing. And 7 years later, I can put on a Woodstock if you give me enough time.
There you go. Amy.
Still got the day job though. I'm working that out. I'm getting the sound in
So
more.
I
than the day
think
job.
most, well, not me, but I think most people have a day
Yeah.
job, just to back it up, because it's not, we're not close enough to a metropolitan area to make this our full-time job. Amy?
My day job's getting in the way a little more.
Your turn.
Okay, but for more on like the art side or just a little bit of music or both.
The photography side of it. What got you going? Taking pictures. When I first saw you, you were hanging out at the dyno with and taking photos, and then all of a sudden your name started popping up everywhere, and you started writing too. And so, like, give us a little hint as to how that all started. I mean, did somebody walk up? Like, did they do a Lana Turner on you and walk up to you at the dyno bar and say, "Hey, beautiful, we need you for this"? What did they say? What happened?
I was actually a fine art major at Valley Community College. I first mixed in art and took classes in gallery management, and this was in college 2007. So I was first really introduced to like old school black and white photography and taking basic classes in that. And after I graduated from there, went to Rose for a semester, didn't like it, went back to the Valley, and that was like my first real exposure to journalism that I found out after a friend of mine at the Smithsonian was looking for photographers and writers to take pictures and write stories. So that was like the first time I had gotten real exposure to journalism and taking pictures of Blue Can Soup opened up at the Knickerbocker. It was over at Knickerbocker Park for the British Invasion concert. So that was like maybe one of the first shows I had really photographed that I was really writing about for a newspaper. So I think that was like also what got me like my first experience through journalism, and eventually I worked my way over to FCLA where I graduated with a degree in art and arts management. So that between that experience and just going out places like dinosaur and photographing bands and being able to see what's going on in the community gave me that exposure of like what's really going on, because way before I wasn't too familiar with what was going on in the music scene to begin with, apart from having my dad being in a hard rock blues band back in the 60s and 70s, and that also got my first exposure into like the music scene and watching him play with his band. But it was just like being out at events and stuff. It's cool.
Amy, just so you know, you're getting glitchy again. I don't know if you can plug in or whatnot. Jimmy, Alice, I'm gonna skip you for a second, and I'll come back to you. Stephanie.
Yeah.
How did you were just, I don't know how to explain it.
Like fairy dust.
you just, no, seriously. I thought I knew every photographer going in the past 8 years that I've been doing this. And then all of a sudden you popped out at me, I think it was at the dyno.
Yes.
And I was like, who is that? You know,
Why is she in my way?
Well, not that. It was like I thought I knew everybody. Who is that? And then I started getting everybody's like, "Oh, you don't know her," blah blah blah. And I was like, "Where did she come from? How long's she been here?" That sort of thing. So tell me how you got into the rock star photography part.
It's kind of meandering type story. I was surrounded by photography as a child. My father was a photographer. He used to shoot brides. That's where I get the word where I shoot people. I blame my father. So he used to shoot brides and bar mitzvah people is what he would call it. So we would go to the studio every Monday after the weekend so he could drop off his film. And I was just amazed at the equipment, photos, and everything else. My uncle was also a photographer. My brother-in-law is a photographer. So I always had that interest. It was always around. I was the one doing scrapbooks for the class teachers and everything. But as far as this goes, I did the normal families, weddings, engagements, all of that line. And then at one point, one of my friends, Todd, had, there was a karaoke type band. It was actually called Rockyoke. And it was probably about 2 years, maybe 3 years ago. And they used to play at the Rivers Casino in Schenectady. And basically the setup is, it was like karaoke, but instead of piped in music, it was an actual live band. So you could front a live band. So he was going there. He asked me if I could shoot him. It's like, well, okay, I never did this before, but sure. And then, if you know me, I like to have journalistic type of photos up close, try to get the emotions and all. So I just kind of pull this chair out on the middle of the dance floor because Todd is tall, so I had to get a good shot. And the drummer was making fun. We've never had anyone bring their own photographer along. So at the end of the show, I told the drummer, because I've never seen him before, it's like, if you want the photos, let me know where I can send them to. And then from there, they had me there almost every week, and I was photographing all of their the karaoke people. And then in the meanwhile, I was doing other type of photography. So I was doing like real estate shots, where back in the early 90s, I used to be a real estate agent. And I was amazed at how terrible the photos were. So I started to take the pictures of the houses. And the good thing about taking pictures of the house doesn't usually say, "Oh, my window doesn't look right here. Could you redo it?" So so it was kind of cool. from doing that, I ended up doing headshots for the realtors. And someone I used to work with actually had me go to a real estate agent convention, and he hired me just to take photos, headshots. And real estate people can be a little interesting. So it was, yeah, I figure if I can handle them, I can handle rock stars. So,
There we go.
and basically,
Yeah.
I've got a
loved
few
it.
good real estate stories I could tell you, but I'll save it for another time.
Yeah, so
They are
it was
they are
it was like,
interesting.
I would just bring the camera with me all the time, and when people saw the photos from the casino actually hired me to do some promo shots, and some of my photos were actually on that huge banner outside of the casino. And it's like, it was so weird to see one of my photos big in the light, but other people, like those Rocky Okie people, actually were in bands, so it kind of just, can you shoot us? Can you shoot us? Can you shoot us? And I don't know how, somehow I got to be friends with Johnny Morse on Facebook, and I was just like,
Who isn't? Who isn't though? He's got like a million followers.
You have to realize, I am such a newbie to this whole business, where everyone else, I mean, Amy, you've been around a lot longer than me, and here I am.
Absolutely.
Even though I may be physically the oldest, I'm the newbie. So, and a good thing is, every time I go to a shoot, it's all new. It's all like a kid at Christmas for me. Everything's exciting, no matter what genre I shoot. I meant this, and I love the hard rock, because you get that, the expressions that they have is amazing. I did this death metal band once in Skyloft, and I mean, they had people with like fake blood on them, and it's like, who would expect someone my age to be there taking pictures of this strange stuff, you know? So anyway, I started to get into with John Morse. He was there. He said he was going to play. I forgot where it was. It was like, the bar was about the size of a little bedroom. It was really, really small. And I didn't know the place, because I don't know the Troy area at all. And I said, okay, do I need to have like press pass or anything? He said, no, just come in at the door. And I go there. There's like, 5 people there. And so I'm taking his pictures, and in walks Tommy Love. And he just like filled the room up. Like, I didn't know who he was, which again, because I'm new, he's been around forever. And it's just, it's like he just commanded that room. Was like, he's got to be somebody. I don't know who he is, but he has to be someone. And sure enough, he sang up there with Morse, and so I took his picture. And then from his whole group, people started friend requesting me. I went from probably 800 Facebook friends to almost 4,000, just through people saying, "Oh, use her." And so it just kind of like meandered around. And as far as like a genre you were asking for, last summer, picture, it's like I'm doing a 3-week classical music festival up in Lake George, and they're world-renowned people, violinists and everything else. In between that, I'm at some bar in Saratoga, sitting on the floor. I think it was Putnam, and I'm sitting on the floor with this hip hop band with the tattoos, very strange. And I don't know what I'm sitting on, but it's like, ew. So I get up the next night, I'm doing a country band, and then I'm doing like the Tom Petty tribute, and it's just like one to another. And I can't say I like one genre more than the other, because each one, to me, I see something different in. Musical style, I'm not really a country music person, but I like the bands, like their fans are amazing, because they're so into it. So I like taking the pictures. I like the photojournalism part of it. So that works for me. But really, I've only been doing this. Too. Yes, the lighting's always good. But it's only been like 2 years. Then I start writing. I got into NYS Music, which is, where are you? I can't see anyone here.
He's below you.
He's below you. Okay. There you are. Okay, over there. So Peter over here. So I met him through that, and then I was also working with Vito and Ralph Renna a lot. So then Art Fredette was there, and I started writing for the experience as well. So it's just, there was no path. It's just kind of like water, and it's kind of like one over the place. And I work a lot. I love it, so I do it a lot. And people would always say, how can you be out? And I would do the same thing. I'd be shooting like 3 bands, a night. And I still had that 9-to-5 job. And it's like they'll say, how can you possibly do all of that? It's like, if you're doing something you love, it's like I'm doing the job during the day, the 9 to 5.
That's
like
right.
I'm doing the fun stuff. So the fun stuff gives you the energy.
That's right. They used to say the same thing to me. How can you be, in 3 venues, 5 venues, whatever, every night? Because you're doing something that you love. Fuzzy and Dave, when did you decide, or we should actually talk to Dave first. Sorry, Fuzz. When did you decide to start this Daved and Confused thing? And what is your, what's the word I want to use? What is your objective in how this podcast supports the local scene? Because you're hitting a lot of bands that don't normally get press play and press airplay and all that. You're on the fringe, I think is safe to say. What do you think?
Well, I started this November will be 2 years, so I'm still a baby to this whole thing. I fell in line Hungry Jack, which when they were around, I know they're on hiatus or I don't know where they stand.
They're done.
They're on the crazy side. And then they got me in touch with the Albany scene through Brother T, who, if anybody knows Brother T,
who doesn't?
Yeah,
another character.
He's been on the show with us.
Yeah, and he's an adorable dude. I mean, he might come off really crazy, but he's an adorable, sweet dude.
And the show started with I kind of lean to more of the obscure of everything. Like I've had people besides music on. I've had freak shows. I've had sideshow people. A little more of the dark art people. You had
the serial killer show, which I love.
We've done serial killer shows. And what happened is the Albany scene and the rock scene and even the heavier side of things, the hardcore, have shown me so much love for a group of people that people think are badass or you may not be able to hang out with. These would be the first guys to buy you a beer and give you a hug for showing up.
That's right. I will say that too. I would back that up 100%.
Yeah,
they're the nicest people.
Yeah.
Yep. They really are. They're not, I mean, they look hard ass, but they're not really. I mean, some of them are, but they're not. They're one of the most welcoming genre of music guys that I've ever met. So now how did you get hooked up with Fuzz?
So me and
Sir Fuzzy.
We met at the second Henry McFerrin, the guitar player for China White.
Yeah.
We met at the second benefit for him. And I was talking with Joe Mansman and the Midnight Revival Band about meeting up with them to discuss doing a show with them. And Fuzzy overheard this conversation and stopped us and said, you make sure you keep this date because you never know when something might happen and you'll regret it. So I made sure I kept that, and then through just chances, I was looking for a guest one night, and Fuzzy and T hit me up, and
there you go.
And it's me and Fuzzy have been like brothers since.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you're a team, and I'm tuning in every week now.
We're not a team. I just ride his coattails. I'm just for the group. That's all I'm here for.
He just want to say he rides me.
At least he was honest about it.
He's the eye candy.
Listen,
Dave, we have to behave. We can't do our show on here. This is a family show.
No, it's not.
It's not a family show, and I don't have time to bleep you, so...
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
There you go. I've said this from the very beginning. I have no time to censor and no interest in censoring people. So,
fuck you, let's get into it.
There you go. So now, together, you two, and this is why I brought you guys on as our special unknown guests, you two together have started this fundraiser for the venues. Let's talk a little bit about where you are with it and the purpose and all that. So, and I'll put the link up on the screen so that people can see how to help you guys out. Who is that? Is that somebody's dog?
That's my mating dog.
Oh, okay.
I also have a dog I have that's put in the street too. I just had a Yorkie puppy last month. He's now 6 weeks old.
He needs to restart her computer, so.
Lady in red.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get that link for you. So you guys, Dave and Fuzzy, tell me about,
The fundraiser.
yeah, the fundraising.
Fuzzy,
I'll keep you on track. You do your thing.
I'll run with it. When I first started out, I got involved in local music in the mid '80s. Yeah, I'm dating myself, I know, but I was a musician, drummer in a band. I was a DJ at WVCR, and then I stepped out of the scene for a long time. Drama got to me. I was done with it. And when Sean McFerrin was ill and then ultimately passed away, I kind of thrust myself back into it. I was close with both Henry and Sean both, and
Right.
So we started the tribute show for them. Well, we started for Sean. Henry's up on the planet. Then, unfortunately, Henry's time came, and we switched to both. T was involved with it. Holly was a really big help with that. But we did that. We did the Fusebox show, and then I got to, I guess, being long-winded. I met Darla through the first fundraiser we were doing, the one at Chrome, and what a sweetheart of a woman. Just, I mean, she's very strong, but she's a sweetheart. She's awesome. This whole thing came around, and she did not get bailout money for the club for whatever reason. The state wouldn't approve it, or feds wouldn't approve it, something like that. But she couldn't get the bailout for it. So I'm like, well, we could probably start, a GoFundMe for it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't think people are just going to give money just because. So let's give them something. I was looking on Facebook one day, and everybody seemed to be like, Jesus Christ, I can't wait to go see a show. My God, I can't. This fucking sucks, the show. We don't get to see shows. I'm like, why don't we start streaming live shows from the venue and help raise money? So we did that. Started with Malefic. Mike and the Monsters was after that. Mariah Formica. Help me out, Dave. Murderers Row. Buried. And then the next one we have is Faced on the 25th of July. But the live streams were very, very popular. I think we're up over $5,700 now total for what we've raised for them. And we just hope to keep it going until we get out of the woods.
Right.
Chrome as a venue supports every style of music. It doesn't matter what style of music it is.
Yep.
It can go from, death metal hardcore to, an acoustic cover kind of country band or whatever. The whole broad spectrum, everybody goes there and plays.
Even the male strippers.
Even the male strippers.
How would you know that?
I actually worked that show, to be honest with you.
I bet you fucking did.
I did the door for that show, and everybody was like, oh, you're going to see a bunch of dudes. And I'm like, wait a minute. It's going to be me and a whole bunch of horny, crazy ladies. Why wouldn't you? So away I went.
Yeah.
I was going to say, how many single dollar bills did you get that night?
Ooh. Come on.
I can't comment on that right now.
He didn't declare it in tax. So.
But the venue itself, I mean, not only is Darla an amazing person, but the venue is just, it's one of the best venues I've seen. It's clean. It caters to the bands. It's a great place to go and play. It's a great place to go see a show. So we figured we'll go balls out and help out.
Awesome. That was the place where I met Joey Belladonna, so, I'm kind of happy about Chrome. Which I always wanted to do because he used to play up here at the Glen Lake Casino years and years ago, but I never met him back then.
Was that what, did you meet him with, like, Chief Bigway, or?
Yeah, he came with Chief Bigway that time.
Yeah.
And, they were just the coolest dudes hanging out and whatever. They not afraid to mingle and so forth. So,
right.
And Chrome was the best place to see him. He, years ago, like I said, used to play at the Glen Lake Casino up here. And I never got to talk to him. Never got to, meet him and whatnot. But that was fun at Chrome. And Chrome's like one of my favorite places to go now.
Beautiful.
as far as shows are concerned.
I don't want to, Steph. I'm sorry. I don't want to completely focus on Chrome. That's where we're at with that right now.
Right now, yeah.
All of these venues, all of them are hurting. All of them. There's,
Yes.
I mean, unless they're financially independent and have a zero fucks to give about paying anything because they're good,
or they're sitting on a stockpile that they're slowly dwindling through. So that happens too.
But they're all hurting. So the sooner we get out of this and get back to having more bands and stuff play out, and the bands themselves are just itching. Like I have had zero pushback from bands about playing live, streaming these shows. None. I call it like I'll take like Murderers Row for example. I talked to Chris. He's like, "Yeah, we're in." I'm like, "All right, dude. Well, I know you guys are itching to play, but I'm like, make sure you get with the other guys in the band and make sure this date is good." And he goes, "No, we're playing. We're good."
Yeah.
Anthony's comment about Paulie's Hotel. I believe Paulie's Hotel is done, right? Didn't they have a new owner now?
I had heard that, but I didn't know if that was official.
They had a new owner, but they were remodeling it so that it was going to open up as a venue again, I thought.
And I think
has that changed?
Shows, that's it. It was the revamp is done, but they only had like 1 or 2 shows, and then it's closing down.
Oh, wow.
The setup's great in there. I saw a couple bands in there, and the setup's great.
Yeah, did Kip close it down for good, or just until this chaos is done?
That I don't know.
Yeah, from Northern Lights, and I've heard rumor Northern Lights is also moving.
Yes.
Well,
yes. They're moving out of that. They're moving out of that plaza. I heard that one.
They're moving down to more towards Albany.
Yes.
So people from my area of the 518 are going to be
hauling ass down to Albany to see those shows. Yep.
We're going to have the Strand, but then they're hurting, and then
we
get local music as Googs.
Where are you at, Dave?
He's up here with me.
North Hudson.
Hudson Falls.
Hudson Falls, whatever that is up there.
Yeah. North Hudson's further up. North Hudson's way up by North Grace.
Oh, that's right. North Hudson is exit 29.
Yes, we're way up there.
Yeah.
We're not quite that far.
Hey, there's good music up there too, though. Isn't that where what's the river up there? The Dobro players, the Gibson brothers, or stuff like that, are from up that way.
Yeah, we got the Dobro players up here, and a lot of good country. We certainly do. We've also got punk. Glens Falls has had a resurgence of punk until this coronavirus thing happened. We had a resurgence of good punk bands playing at Googs and indie bands, experimental bands. I mean, we have a ton of it up here, and we don't have the venues that support it. That's the problem. We have one good venue that supports originals, and that's Googs. Well, I always talk about Googs, but it's true.
But we need to get Mike on here. He's a character.
Yeah, I can get Mike on. Mike will do.
I had asked
tons
him before
for me.
Happened, and he's up for doing a podcast.
I'll get him. Tell him I'm going to be on the show. He'll come.
All right.
Well,
I'll get him for you.
For what it's worth, I hope Kip decides to open Paulie's up when this pandemic is over, because
I hope so too.
With Paulie's and the Lobby, and if they can figure out a way to tie the Linda in there somehow, that area, it's got a lot of potential right there. So
I go to those three a lot. I work those three places a lot.
There's a lot of history on that street.
Yeah.
A lot of history on that street.
I took a walk with T and his friend Sarah down that road doing a documentary with them. And the history that they had, and they're a younger generation compared to some of these guys. The history on that street is insane.
Yep. When I was a DJ in Albany, my club was 2 blocks over on Quail and Western. And that whole street was full of a lot of music. That whole area. And it still is. I mean, it just needs some support, and that's what we're doing. We're supporting anybody who wants to play. I love the independent young bands, no matter what genre they are. I listen to everything they send me. I get in my email, I will get MP3s of from people I don't know, I've never met, because they got my name from somebody or they heard something, and they'll send me stuff, and I'll say, did I meet you somewhere? How do I know you? What is this? And why are you sending it to me? They just want opinions. They want to get their name out there. They want somebody to care about what they're doing with their talent. And that's what I think we do. And this is where we're going to get into talking about how we feel about the scene. They're looking for somebody to care about what they do and their talent, and I feel like that's what I'm doing. I always tell people, and I've been saying the same thing for 8 years, I chronicle in any given night what memory somebody else is going to look at in the future, and I have to get it as it is, as it was, as it happened, so that in 30 years' time, if somebody goes back and looks at that film, they'll say, yeah, I feel like I was there. That's what I do. Now, it's a little bit different for the photographers, but it's still the same thing. You're capturing a minute, an hour, a mood, a venue, whatever, and you have to do it in that time and make sure that when you've got to get it. And you guys are, especially if you're on a list of photographers that only get to go in the pit for 3 songs, you got to get in there, get everything, and get out. And you got to hope that in that 3 minutes, and you guys could probably talk to this, you got to hope in that 3 songs that you get that picture, that, that speaks to people. And that's what I think these kids are doing. They're looking for people who have that experience. I don't know if you guys get stuff from bands. I do, because, like I say, I'll come and film you. Let me know where you are, who you are, where you're playing, and I'll come out and check you out. And if I think that, there's something to do here, we'll do it, and we'll get a schedule going, because I have to keep a schedule. I can't, just fly by the seat of my pants with this stuff. And okay.
Amy does a little dog fighting in the side. So.
I just muted her because of the puppy. I'm sorry. Yeah. But yeah, these young people, I mean, they don't even have to be young. They just have to be somebody who's looking for support. So let's start with Randy. What do you feel, what do you feel your support role is as far as lighting is concerned? What do you think you bring to the table when you're supporting a band?
Oh, it's a huge difference. You go see a band that's just out there with a couple of old cans sitting there with no, something set on sound active, and just the atmosphere isn't there. The atmosphere is a big part of the show. And if you don't have the proper atmosphere and the lighting aspect of it, people aren't going to have as good of a time. Some people are there to hear the guitar solo. Some are there to see the lights. Some are, they're all there for different reasons. And the combination of all those together, you got to use the right type of lighting to bring out the greatness of the bands. And it's different, for every band and every song, and you do different things. I try to do what I can to just make my light show look not like somebody else's. Try to have my own thing, and that's why I do certain things. Like, I have video projection, which you didn't see in the Tommy V Live video, but I usually do projection for those guys when we're actually at a venue where we got room for it, and I put them on the side of the stage. I have a couple circles with video screens, but and as you saw at the end of that video, I dressed up as this guy right here.
Yeah.
Eddie.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's a big hit, Do that one, just for one song per show.
It's like 300 degrees, and he came out with that.
Yeah.
It's like,
So,
whoa, dude.
So Randy, you're saying you're not afraid to wear a mask. That's good.
Sometimes it's necessary.
Oh,
good for
sometimes. You. Yeah, sometimes. So, So I guess what you're saying is that your talent in lighting and projection adds to the value of the show, and that's how you're supporting them.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and
it's the third dimension.
It brings the show to another
correct.
level. It brings the show to another level, and I'm always willing to try to up my game. If a band has ideas, like John Eisenhart, for example, from Alice Frost, he wants me to do certain things that I haven't done before, and I was like, that's a challenge, and I'm taking it. I'm going to go for it. Because otherwise
Yeah.
you're never going to get better if you don't try new things.
Right, you have to learn,
No matter what you're doing.
I can say that my whole 8 years has been a learning curve. I can tell you that right now, because everybody wants something different.
Right.
Jason, you're obviously a sound guy, but what added value do you bring to the show? I know that you are willing to do a lot of stuff. I've seen you at work, and I was so impressed with you that I actually got you into a club there by mentioning your name, saying this is like a really great guy, you want to hire him. So tell me what your personality, you personally bring to this.
Every show I do, I want it to be better than my last, and I care as much, if not more, than the band putting on the show, how well the show comes off.
I agree with that. I have run into that myself so many
100%.
times. They don't care about the video. They just want me to shoot it. They don't want to, contribute to it. They don't want to look at the camera. I want to give them something great, and they don't want to be involved, really.
Doing sound, it's important to me because usually nobody goes home humming the light show.
Right.
That's true.
Mr. Carter finally said something I agree with. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. He's been saying a bunch of stuff, but that I agree with. And yeah, he's something today. I don't know if he's having a couple of beers. I love her, but he I don't know if he's had a couple of beers or what, and he gets mouthy. I can kick him off the show if I need to. So if he gets a little bit too mouthy, or he says something inappropriate. Amy,
That's my job.
He's Batman.
Yeah.
Mostly about your photography. You've been coming out you come out to some shows that I personally probably would have passed on. How do you pick your shows, and what do you think you bring to the whole thing?
I mean, a lot of shows that I figure out where to go is based off of getting an invite from somebody on Facebook, inviting me to attend their show. And now with the summer concerts that are coming up, like the Town of Brunswick is coming up this coming Tuesday, and you have the Town of East Greenwich has their event on Sunday, the Scatticooks are on Thursday, so I plan my schedule around during the summer based off of when summer concerts are happening, or just like word of mouth of somebody that lets me know about their upcoming events. And a lot of it is just finding out what's going on, even if it's through like our art publications or through the news even, where you're able to get like inspired by places to go to and photo shoot bands or community events even.
Yeah, we're still getting you glitchy, but I got most of that.
Okay. But I'm not in the area where the dogs are at either.
Yeah, I just find that when I see what the things that you do and the places that you show up and whatever, I think you put some thought into where you go and what you're doing, and I personally was impressed by that when I first started seeing you at different shows, because there were a lot of them that if you had the choice that night to go to something more popular or something that you might have got your name in the paper with or whatever, you could have gone to those, but you chose something else. That was really that impresses me, because that's kind of the same thing I would have done.
Thank you. And there's so many things that are going on in the community that people don't even know about, or if it's special, like with a benefit event, or if there's a special tribute event, like the Blue Machines and the Rolling Stone tribute a couple years back. Like that was a definite go-to show, because that was something special that you had to be at, and it was something to really remember of being around people that were playing great music in honor of the Rolling Stones, and that week happened to be the week of my birthday on top of that, so it made it like even more special to attend that event.
Thanks for that, Fuzzy. I'm going to put that up on my site too. That's the GoFundMe for helping out the venues.
Definitely
and
appreciate that stuff for sure.
Yeah, I'll put it
Yeah.
on mine and get it out there to my people.
Yeah, we'll definitely get that out there.
Now, does
Um,
everybody have that memorized now?
No, I'm going to make sure. No, I'm going to make sure that it's posted in different places so that I've had it up already once, but I'm
Wait
going
a
to
second.
Sure
Was that 7663 or was that 763?
633.
Oh, there you go. What?
Stephanie, get me away from this. Stephanie, when I'm kind of interested in when you first started, how did you pick where to go? I think you kind of touched on it, but what do you think that you, with your your photography is fantastic. What specifically do you think that your photography brings to these people that you choose to photograph? I know that you've done wonders, for example, Johnny Clifford's Tom Petty show, because you've shot him in such a way that he looks like Tom Petty. I mean, he kind of looks similar to Mr. Petty, but I'm
hoping Johnny looks better than Tom Petty right now, because Tom's not looking
he
too
does,
good.
No.
but he's growing his hair,
I mean,
and he's growing.
I'm sure.
But he, I've lost battery on my ear pods. Sorry about that. So anyway, he, his Petty thing's been around for years. I filmed it, the first one, years ago, and it kind of, I don't want to say it kind of died off, but it wasn't as popular as it is now. And part of that, I give you credit for all those photographs that you took of him that made him look so much like Petty. And then we stuck the videos out there where it makes him sound like Petty. And then we've got all these people interested in Tom Petty. And not just for the fact that the man passed away, but that, there was a band out there that was actually
spot on. Yeah, I mean, when I go to shoot, especially the very first time I photograph a band, I always want to try to find out who their inspiration are, what they're trying to do. And it sounds really hoity-toity or strange, but when I am behind the camera, it's like I'm looking for a certain feel. And someone will think I'm taking thousands of pictures because I'm up there, and they probably think I'm going, but I'm just waiting for that moment. And it's like with the lights, it's with the music, it's everything just kind of goes together. And my job is to capture that moment. So I could think of a couple with Johnny that it was almost like Petty was like going through him. It was like he channeled him or something, and the performer has to be in that zone. If you just have someone singing a song, it's not going to be the same as someone who's just totally is into it. So, I just did a band for the first time, final album or something. They're a new one. And again, it's like, what do you like? What do you try to do, etc. But what I try to bring is the feeling of the band. I shoot every band differently. Similar with the lighting and the music, each genre is going to be different. I remember when I did the classical music, I'm used to doing more of the hard rock, so they had the violinists there, and I was kind of a fish out of the water. I love music, I love just about every genre of music, but I just wasn't around the classical, and there's a lot of rules to classical music that I learned as I was doing it. So, between the walking, the movement, it's almost like a golf game. It's all quiet. So they had a violinist there, and she was doing her thing, and her hair flipped up. So my automatic thing, because I just shot this hairband the night before, was got to catch a hair flip, and I did, and it looked really cool. So when I sent it to them, I'm kind of like, I don't know, they're not going to get this. They're going to think it's stupid. And she just raved. I never had a picture like this. I ended up doing headshots for her website, but it was just, you try something a little bit different. You try to get what they want, but just give them that little bit of extra. But it's all how you feel. It's what you feel with the camera, the music, the lighting, and definitely the performer.
Yeah, and what you get with your eye, that what you see
right.
through your eye. Yeah, that's true. I know who you're talking about, and I saw those photos. They were very nice. I did video for Barbara Kolarova, at the theater. She plays at the theater quite a bit, and it's hard to video the classical people because they're so quiet, because they stand still and so forth, and they don't. I mean, all she does is move the violin. Really, I mean, not that she's a stick or anything like that, but they don't dance around. They don't play with a guitar and move it up and down. You know, there's no like motion that you have to cut to. There's no real solos you have to cut to because they're the only person on stage. So it's hard to do. Classical definitely is one of the harder ones to do. It's not like having a punk guy throw himself off the stage and you can get that action. Yeah.
But again, you have to anticipate. And the hard thing is if you're not familiar with the genre. Like when I was first doing the hip hop, I'm not a hip hop person. You know, here I am. I'm 66. When was the last I ended up in a mosh pit? It just kind of formed behind me. It's like, oh, okay, just don't touch the camera, you know. But you just have to be aware of what's going on. You pick up the vibes of the audience, the fans, and if they're more active, I tend to shoot differently than if it's more low key. It's hard to explain. I remember my dad telling me when I was like 8 years old, details. Again, he was a wedding photographer, and he was telling me, make sure you don't take pictures with people with food in front of them. And it stuck with me. It's all the details. You don't want to get a picture with their eyes closed unless they're in that moment with their eyes closed. You definitely want to get that picture. You just have to get what they feel. And I don't know. It connects.
So Joel just advertised himself doing free videos for people he loves. Yeah, don't devalue your talent there, Joel, because you know it's expensive to do video. And let's talk about that. That's my next question, you guys.
Well, Steph, before you jump into the next thing, I just want to ask a question to the photographers, because I know musicians, a good musician, their instrument almost becomes a part of them. From what I'm getting from both you guys, it seems like your cameras become a part of you. Almost. It seems like you guys have that talent where you're just waiting for that right moment, and then you do quote unquote your solo. I think that's cool. That's awesome.
Well, thank you. Yeah, like I said, it just comes together. That's the good part.
It's like I want to do what I love, but out the support of everybody in our local music scene and art scene and the whole journalism scene, even the venues too, that are all in need of like good quality photography and videos, because they all tell a story about who we all are. And that's an important message that Stephanie, you brought up about sharing those exact memories, because you want to be able to capture those memories within that limited time.
Yep.
And that was definitely very powerful that you spoke about that.
So, did that answer your question, Fuzzy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What I want to talk about is, because, you know, they see us out there, the musicians and whatever, they see us out there. And I know that they have a lot of money invested in their instruments and their equipment, amps and so forth. Can we talk about what our personal and financial expenditure has been for what we do? I want to start, no, because I would really like to know what kind of what the lighting guys put into it, what the sound guys put into it, and I can tell you how many thousands I put into it. But and I mean, we're not making the money back to pay for all this stuff, or maybe you are. Let's talk about that, Randy. Look, talk about your financial expenditures and putting into it, and what are you getting out of it?
Well, first I'd like to go back to what Jason said at the end of his last comment.
Yeah.
About people go home humming a song, not the lights, which is correct. Which is why I make sure I try to work with bands that have great sound men, because the sound is the most important thing. Let me get that out there right away. The lighting is secondary to the sound, but you don't have good lighting, the show
You know,
is here instead of here. You can a great sound man can bring it from here to here. You take that with great lights and you bring it up to here.
you know, but a photo
I appreciate what
10
they
years,
do.
a photo 10 years later or 20 years later is going to bring back memories, and it needs the
Correct.
lighting and everything.
It
And
does.
no matter how bad the band sucked back then, when they see the photo and they think back, oh my God, that was the best show ever. And I was like, no, I
Right.
was at that show. They sucked. But you think
Right.
it's the best, and that's all that matters. So
That's funny that you said that. Yeah.
the most
Yeah.
important person in the room for me, other than the band, who thinks they're the most. I mean, they're important. I guess we need them there. Is the lighting guy for me? For me, the LD is the main person. When I go into a venue, I usually talk to the LD. I say, "What's going on?" Because I don't like, unlike Stephanie and Amy, I'm usually shooting like the bigger shows, so I only have 3 shots. I have 3 songs. Metallica's not going to give me the whole set,
No.
and I mean once in a while, but not okay. You know what I mean? So 3 songs. So the LD has to be my best friend. And it's like, what's going on the first 3 songs? First song, the band usually has it teed in. They know what they want. The second song, I usually get the LD to play with it a little bit, and I can get a little bit better lighting that second song. That's where I get my good photos. And then the third song, that's usually the key song for a set. The third song is going to set the tone for the rest of the set. And all the guys, like the sound guy, lighting guy, like by the third song, if the band's not keyed in,
dialed in.
By the third song, if they're not dialed in, that set is screwed. So second song for me, I mean, as whatever I do, I take pictures once in a while. Once in a while.
Okay, Joel.
No, I love LDs.
So do I if they don't use red lights. Joel says, I think you should make enough money to pay for your gear and make a bunch of money. Why shouldn't we? That's a good question. Should we be paid what we're worth and not what we can get?
Of course, everybody should be paid what they're worth, but
Agree.
You're at the mercy of the venue a lot of the time. So whatever the bands get, you get what they can give you. But I mean, I have a certain standard. I set my prices at, and I don't go below it. If you want it below that, you're going to get less, and which I don't like to do because I don't look as good.
It makes our production seem less when we go budget with a band.
I definitely have a sliding scale for me.
Yeah, I do too, because some of the bands just aren't making the money out of the gig. And we know that up front, no matter how packed it is.
Local bands.
I'll do that as well. I mean, I charge more for if they want certain things. Like, it's going to cost a little more if I got to do something extra.
Right.
But as far as financially, if we want to get into the question you originally asked me.
Yeah. Investment. What kind of investment did you put into it?
Well, I started out with 8 Par 56 cans.
Kitty.
And that was it. And they were like 300-watt cans, and I bought those off Gary Fuller. And this is since I've been in New York, back up in New York since 2003. But each year, I'll buy something new and I'll sell something old, add to it. As of today, I probably got, I'd say between 12 and 15,000 invested in my light show alone.
Oh yeah, probably easy.
Easily. I mean, I'd have to figure it out, but probably an easy 15 grand in my lighting. But if I wanted to resell that, you're going to get what, 5,000 for it if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, once you take it out of the box, forget it. Same thing with cameras.
Just like driving a car off the lot.
Same thing with cameras, microphones, the whole thing. They devalue as soon as you take them out of the box.
But as far as what I get out of it, I mean, I just love doing it. I love the live music. I've been when I was 6 years old, my dad started a thing called the Juniorette Drill Team. It marched in parades, at the color guard. And I was a little 6-year-old kid carrying the banner, so that's where my music starts. I just fell in love with different types of stuff, drum corps competitions and all that kind of stuff. Then when I lived in Texas, I got into it with a band, heavy metal band that plays the similar stuff that Tommy V plays, and they're the ones that really got me into doing the sound and doing some lighting. And I owe them a lot for getting me into it, or maybe I don't owe them. But it's the love of the music and the love of doing it. I want to make people go to a show and just say, wow, it's something, part of the show to say, oh, that looks cool or something, anything. I just enjoy making people feel good, that's I get out of it. Which, as far as getting finances back, I mean, I get paid, of course,
Right.
but it's a far cry from what I put into it. I mean, I put in, when I go set up for a show, if I set up my full show, I'm looking at a 5-hour setup and a 2-hour teardown, plus the show.
Right.
So I'm not getting paid what I'm worth per se, but I'm getting what I'll take to, because I know some venues are cheaper than others, but I mean, I just try to keep it as, like with Tommy, we have an agreement, and I get paid a certain amount for each show because I do all his shows.
Financials are going to be really tough all the way around right now because with COVID,
right?
So much, everyone took a hit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And when you go back in and a venue is like Cafe Lena's going to start indoor shows here, and they're going to be at 25% capacity.
And that's and it's not that big.
It's not that big. Yeah. Or, if you're doing 25% capacity or even 50% capacity on some of these places, the bands they're not going to be able to make as much. Sorry, it's just reality, because the promoters aren't going to be making as much. The bars aren't going to be making as much at the bar. The sound guy, they're already pretty low on the sound. I mean, sound guys is
right,
but they're going to have to take a cut. Lighting guy's going to have to take a cut. When we start this industry back up, it's going to be tough. And if we don't want to take a cut, are we going to charge more for tickets? And are people? We're afraid if people are going to show up anyway because of this pandemic. Are they going to want to pay the extra money for the tickets? And I'm so impressed by people being creative and the drive-ins and everything. But when this all dies down, what are we going to be left with on a scene? Venues. What venues are going to make it? What venues aren't going to make it? What bands are going to make it? What bands are just closing up? And we're in a really shit or get off the pot time. When next year in 2021, we're gonna find out who is really serious about this shit. Because we are weeding out the hem and haws, right? Like, and there's some good talent that's getting weeded out too. This is the final straw for them. It's just too frustrating,
but
and then that's a shame.
We also don't want to set a precedent of cut rates to try to deal with something now, because
we're between a rock and a hard place on this one.
Price because of COVID. Well, that was then. Well, you did it then. Why can't you still do it now?
And it goes back to people get paid for what they are worth in the sense of what they will accept, right? There is no minimum wage when it comes to anything we do, because it's either
is it worth leaving the house for?
That's it.
Each individual.
And that's your call. Right. So, like I said, for me, it's a sliding scale. If I'm shooting for a large band and it's going to be merch or something like that, they're going to pay me more money than if I show up at Desperate Annie's to shoot Murderers Row because I want to hear them. They're not going to pay anything. I'm going to shoot because I like doing it, and if they want the photos, they can have them. That's me. Like, if I'm out having fun with my camera, I'm out having fun with my camera. If I'm out getting paid, that's another story. But also, as far as commitment, financial commitment, my body, just the body of my camera, the D5 is around $5,000, and that doesn't count the lenses.
Yeah.
So, anytime I walk into a show, my bag usually has around $10,000 worth of just camera gear in it.
Right.
So photographers.
He meant $100 for you guys that are going to steal stuff. He meant $100, not $10,000. So don't touch his bag. Not worth it. Don't even try.
Oh, my bag is never out of my sight. I make sure I know where my bag is at all times.
My question is, you guys get paid?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, but it's
Well,
the
it
music
depends on
industry.
what our it's the music industry. It
Uh-huh.
depends on what our agreement is with who we're shooting. Um, like in the beginning, I used to do open mics for free because I was out there looking for talent, and helping them get established and whatever with free stuff, so they could grow. Let's put it that way. But when somebody calls me up and says, "Hey, can you come and shoot my show?" I'll ask them, what's the budget? How many cameras? How big's the band? What are you expecting to get out of it? Etc. And talk to them about it. And we'll agree a price before I leave the house.
Yeah,
But then there's other people who are going and they'll say, "Oh, it's a benefit I'm playing. I just like to capture it for, my own purposes." I'm not going to charge somebody for a benefit show. I'm going to donate my time, and I mean, who wouldn't? It's a benefit.
it depends on who that benefit is for.
Well, yes, but I mean, in most cases, the ones that I go to, the benefit is usually for somebody with a health problem or
Right. And then
something, a house fire or something like that. And then and as long as I know who it's for and that it's legit, I will donate my time. If not, there's a minimum fee to come out, and
One of the
over
thing-
50 miles, it's more.
So one of the things I used to do in those situations, and again, now I mostly shoot for fun, or not for, but in those I would charge, and then I would donate back whatever I made. Then that way they at least know the value they got.
Right.
Because that was the one thing is if you say, "Hey, I'm going to do it for free," then they think that's what you're worth. But if you say, "Look, I charge $250 for this, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll donate the $250 back to you," and then that's an actual exchange, and then you can at least write that off.
And that's a great.
Something
That's
to
a
think
great way
about.
to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have my MBA too, not just a photographer. Not just
Smart.
the pretty face. But that way, at least you're getting the tax benefit from that, and you're not devaluing your work, right?
And that's the
what it comes
point of
down
this.
to.
It's kind of the point of this question for me was devaluing our work. We've got so much invested in the equipment. We've got so much time invested in it, and we're in a market where we can't say, "Hey, we get 500 for a show." We're not in those markets like some people are. So we gotta not devalue ourselves, but in the same way we are supporting the scene, and so it's kind of a juggling act, if you know what I mean. And it go ahead, Jim. You know what I'm saying.
I do, and there's something about longevity in this too, because as photographers, as LDs, as sound guys, as all of everybody here, you're going to have the kids. And when I say kids, they might be 30 or 40-year-old kids, but you have the kids that come out and they're going to be like, "I'll do sound for you for free." Or, "I just bought a mixing board, so I'll do it for free." Or, "You know what? I just bought a couple geysers and a few lights. I got my tax return. I spent $5,000 on lights. I'll do it for free." Or cameras, especially. I mean, photography, it's MWAX. I used to call them MWAX, and mothers with a camera, they'd come out and they'd shoot the kids' show and whatever.
Yeah.
But they're going to charge nothing, or they're going to be dirt cheap, but they're not going to last, because what we actually do every week, every day, every week is a lot of work, and people get burnt out on this shit because, "Oh, wait, how many times does people come to you, at least me, and go, 'I want to photograph a show.' All right. What do you want to, let's start you at the low beat. Let's start you at somewhere, the hangar. Oh, no. Jason Aldean's going to be at SPAC. Can I start there?"
No.
No.
That's my job.
No, that's, but they get burned out because, if you talk about how people start, I started shooting free shows starting bringing a camera in and starting with small venues and small shows, and then worked up, got my portfolio. My first, Stephanie, my first paid gig was Gore. That was my first. That was my break. Was Gore.
Yep.
Who hasn't been on Dazed and Confused yet, but Gore should be.
I freaking wish.
Yeah.
Oh,
I actually interviewed Guar at WVCR way back in the day. They were playing at Winners, and I was told 7 minutes before the interview, "Hey, you're interviewing Guar tonight." And I'm like, So I'm expecting them to come in Guar style.
No, people.
No, people.
6 people
Awesome.
that I was
Smart.
like, who the fuck are you? Like,
Yep.
And
glasses, they look
smart.
like bookworms. As soon as the mics kicked on, it was like,
They're in character. Smart
Dave
as hell.
Brocky is a
Yep.
freaking maniac. He's out of his mind.
Was.
May
Was
he
out of
rest
his
in
mind,
peace.
yeah.
So I shot for him back then, but when Postulus Maximus, when do you guys know? I don't know. When he came on, it was like one of his first couple shows, and they needed the press photos, they needed the marketing photos. So I did a lot of those. But yeah, and everything is choreographed. I shouldn't have probably ruined that, but like every time.
Oh, it's obvious when you watch the show.
But it's obvious for us because we all actually look at the production of the show.
Yeah, we do.
Everyone here, like Jason doesn't go into a show as a. You can't go into a show anymore as just a guest or just a fan. You hear every time,
Oh,
hey,
yeah,
that bass
yep.
is too high, that bass is too low. Randy's looking at it and going, why is that spotlight there? Why do they have...
Isn't that a terrible setup?
It
I hate
ruins
going
it.
to other shows.
Happens more often than you think.
It
ruins
does.
it for us, right? Like, we can't go to a show and just go to a show. Every once in a while, I'll go to a show with like somebody who isn't in this industry, and I get to see their energy and like how much they're into it, and I kind of try to. It's hard to get excited about a show anymore, you know. Like, oh yeah, you know, Dave Matthews. Okay, what is this? Like the 20th time I'm shooting, you know? Yeah, okay. Oh, Dave's going to go out with this, and he's going to do this song. Okay, it's the same thing. But it's nice to get that energy from other people. But they kind of did ruin it. Like we kind of go to a show and we're looking at all the production. We're looking at how
we know too much.
Then you
Oh,
feel like
yeah.
you should be doing something. You can't just enjoy it. You feel like you should be doing something because you're at a show.
That's
Or you
why I always bring a camera.
Or in some cases,
I can't do that though.
I've
can't go
other.
down.
Go ahead. The other professionals will come up to you and say, "Oh, don't you think you ought to do this?" Or "Don't you think you ought to do that?" Have you ever had that? You know, like sound guys. Have you or have you ever photographers? Have you ever had anybody say, "Oh, are you sure that's the right angle?" Or should you put your camera? Should you put your camera there?
Stephanie,
Every
can you imagine
photographer,
somebody?
every photographer just laughed at what you just said. Like, yep, absolutely.
But Stephanie, can you imagine somebody coming up to me at this point in my life and going, and they don't know me all the time, and they go like, "Oh, you know, if you're on that side of the stage, you should do this." And I'm like, oh, "Okay, thanks."
Yeah, I've done like 3,500 videos in 8 years, and people still come up and try to tell me how to put my cameras.
But
Still.
I will tell you, I'm learning. Like not Stephanie. I'm going to talk about one of your competitors for a second and a highlight. Like Frankie is actually, I've never done video, and so Frankie Cavone was teaching me how to do video and like teaching me the pan and teach. So I'm still an old dog that could definitely learn new tricks.
Mm-hmm.
Not probably with a still camera, but like with video, I was like, oh wow, this is like you would think they're similar. Not similar at all.
No.
Oh,
not at all.
And like the smoothness and stuff, and how you have to crop. Like I crop in tight, but with video, it's different. So
Totally different.
I love learning new things. Every once in a while, I'll jump on a soundboard.
I'm like a human tripod. You know, when I do the handheld stuff, you have to be you have to have a center. You have to be like almost like a drummer. You know, drummers centers themselves to play. What?
That I'm a human tripod.
Are you a human tripod too?
Oh yeah.
I'm going to give you a camera. We're going to see what you can do.
Oh no, it has nothing to do with camera.
I don't
I fell right into that one. Jesus.
So just one thing, getting back to that the MWAC comment that he had, I think a big misconception with photographers, you're all going to go like this at the same time, I guarantee it. People think that you guys just point and shoot, point and shoot, point and shoot.
Oh.
No.
And there's so much more to it. And I don't know anything about it. I've never really been a photography guy, but I know there's so much more involved in it, like, you know, filtering and picking the right shot and, you know, doing all this other post-production stuff that you guys do with the pictures. I think a big misconception is, they just click all night long.
Well,
and then they fix it in post-production,
yeah,
right?
I don't do a whole lot of. I don't do a lot of post. I do a lot of pre. I'll watch now with YouTube. You'll watch YouTube videos. How does a guy hold their guitar? How does he take a breath when he leans back and he takes a breath? Usually people take a breath on stage with their mouth open and then they go away from the mic. That's a great time to shoot a shot. They're not singing a note. I'm telling a secret. They're not singing a single note, but their mouth is open so it looks like they are, and they're away from the mic so you don't have that big mic that looks like they're
in their face.
In their face.
Yeah.
And so you study them before. I also have friends who do this out in California and stuff. So like if a tour starts in California and it's coming to New York, a lot of times we'll talk and be like, what was the lighting like for, Elton John or something? And, like how was it and where do you get to stand? Where do they want you? So you know what lenses to bring, you know what gear to bring, you know what to prepare yourself for. So there's a lot of pre-work to that.
But if you think about it, band photography is almost everything a photographer would not like. It's dark, there's flashes of lights, there's movement, it's everything people would say, oh, no, you got to stand still, you have to have it perfectly lighted, etc.
Drunk
It's
people.
everything that you hate,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's what we're thriving on.
And that's what I love about it, right? It's
Right,
the
exactly.
toughest environment, yeah.
And if you get it right, it's like amazing.
And actually, the reason I bought the camera that I have, the expensive one, wasn't for the SPACs, and like I could shoot those with a freaking iPhone. They're so bright. There's a spotlight. I actually bought a really good camera because I wanted to get back into hardcore and punk because I miss that energy. I miss being in the middle of a mosh pit and at Bogies or QE2 or something, and be in that middle and have that sweat and everything and have that camera where it could really take that low light movement shot. I mean, I'm the idiot who in the middle of a circle pit at like Lamb of God, I'm down on one knee with a wide angle lens shooting in the middle of the pit on one knee. And I'm expecting people to knock me over, knock the camera out of my hand, whatever. But it doesn't happen in the metal world because the nicest fucking people in the world are in the metal world.
Yeah.
The metal world have the best people. I mean, I know people here do country. Country is the biggest drunk idiots. But the metal world, you do not get a better family than that.
We had that discussion when I did the country show here, and you were on, Jim. That the drunk country idiots, the ones that keep me from getting to the front of the stage and getting to my cameras because they are protecting their band. Yeah, it's not like that in the metal world. The metal guys are really cool.
If somebody falls down in the metal world, you've got 5 people there picking them back up.
Exactly.
You have somebody harassing a girl in the metal world, you're going to have 5 guys putting that guy up against the wall.
I want to see someone pull that shit during a DMS show.
Yeah, they don't. No, that's it. And with the DMS shows or any of the black and blue, like there's family, there's no fucking around. I miss Bogies. I know you guys have Chrome now, and Chrome is great, but nothing is like that. Like, I want to smell a show when I go into it like that.
Buzzing. You got fire trucks?
Carousel or something.
They heard that he stole their hose.
You have to make that tripod.
You got it right. See, he knows.
But no. So actually, I bought the good gear because I wanted to go back into the punk stuff and the metal, the hardcore stuff, because there's something about that energy that's really addicting. But it'll come back. But can you imagine being in a mosh pit in the age of Corona or the age of this pandemic?
No.
Because how
can you socially distance in a mosh pit? I went to the last mosh pit I went to. I was up in higher ground. It was Mayhem, and their mosh pit. I mean, it was so tight. I couldn't move, and I can't imagine being in that, especially if you had to have a mask on at the same time and trying to keep these people who are slamming into you 6 feet from you. You'd have to put your arms out like this. You probably end up with broken fingers, broken hands, broken arms.
A wall of death.
It'd be awful.
Dude, I don't know if anybody around here does that, but yeah, the wall of death or stuff like that. I don't know. but those shows are important, and that scene is so important to the capital region. Gonna have to be creative to keep that scene going. And it sounds like Dave and Sir Fuzzy and Darla, everybody at Chrome is really working hard to do that, and that's really awesome because I think people forget how important hardcore is to this.
And I think one of the messages I wanted to get out there was to them, in respect to any musician, is don't give up yet.
No, don't.
Don't give up yet. There's a lot of them saying, "Oh, I don't need this. It was just for fun. It was only on the weekends. I don't need this." Let's play it out. Don't wait. Don't give up now.
It's a race. If you keep running and everybody else stops, you will win the race so long as you don't stop.
Right.
That's it, man. That's
Listen,
it right now.
The last thing I do is bullshit anybody. And when we get through this and we get out on the other end, I got fire trucks coming again. We get out on the other end of this, we're going to be building on skeletons. There's no doubt about it. It's going to suck. It's going to be another rebirthing phase, and we're going to have to build this shit up again. But we can do it. We can absolutely do it again.
We can.
Don't give
up.
We're
going to do it.
We know how to do that, though. So much of our local music scene was built that way anyway. We lose venues and we have to rebuild, and we lose bands and we have to rebuild. It's actually, if I have to be honest, I feel sorry, and you guys are all going to throw shit at me. I feel sorry for the Live Nations of the world. I feel sorry for the larger production companies because they can't change on a dime. The reason they can't book anything is it's too expensive to bring those big shows in, and they can't take the chance of a second wave, right? Because they book a show in November and all of a sudden a second wave and they're out another $30 million and they can't survive it. I mean, we complain about ticket prices and all that for those big shows, but nobody's still getting rich at that level. I mean, we all know touring bands that are struggling, right? It's notorious like the Misfits, those guys are freaking plumbers, right? When in their off time, and some guys there when they're not touring, they paint houses or they do whatever.
Yeah, they have day jobs.
So, but they can't turn around because there's too much production in those shows. So the local scene is really where we have to focus our energy, and because that's what we can control. We can help that local scene get back on its feet, and not just the musicians, the venues, like you guys are doing at Chrome, the LDs, the sound guys, the roadies, the groupies. Come on, we need the groupies. Who are they screwing? I mean, bassists need a bassist is not going to get laid. A bassist is not going to get laid unless there's a show, because how else do they know that he's in the band, right?
Correct.
I'm sorry. No. I'm going to get hate mail from bassists.
They're always
assuming he shows up on time.
Well,
there you go. Well, they do. They show up at 5 minutes before the show starts, plug in and play. That's the basis. Every show I go to.
I love it. I can't wait because I'm seeing patio shows at people's houses of talented musicians. We're going to keep people playing if they can do it. The live streams, some of them, how much can we live with live streams? But now we're going to have these hybrid shows that are 50% capacity and a live stream.
Yeah.
Stephanie, your services are more and more important now than they were a year ago, because you're bringing, and how many cameras do you have now, and how much production? You could do multiple locations at once.
Yes.
Think about how much your business has grown because of the pandemic. Like the ability.
Yeah, I mean, I'm booked up this month, doing live streams from the Strand every week for the next 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And we're going to be doing it until we get back to capacity and can sell tickets again. We have a 350 seat theater that we can't sell tickets to, because we can't bring up the national acts that we've been having. I mean, we had Martin Barr from Jethro Tull, and we've had Albert Lee there twice, and there's a lot of people that we had booked ready to play, that
Was
had
it
to, got canceled.
Albert Cummings was coming in for his
Yep.
CD release, right? The Blues
Yep.
Dude. And,
Yep.
now that was.
You know, and you know that I work with John Waite just about every year when he comes
Yep.
this way. We were trying to get him into the theater, and you know, talk about a guy that has been in the business forever and still has to work because they're not getting rich off of things, even at that level. They're still not that. They're still working hard, and we can't do that when we've got what is it, 50% capacity, but now we can only do 10 people in the theater, and that's taken up with me and my crew, and usually when we're shooting a live stream there. So I've got 3 this week, and then at least 2 every week between now and then. So that keeps me busy the whole week.
Anthony Pavada asked what's theater. It's Strand Theater up
Strand Theater in Hudson Falls.
Hudson Falls. See, I didn't screw up the town that time for you.
Yeah, and I had a bunch of people come up from Albany for the Jethro Tull thing. They were all calling me saying, "Can I get tickets? Can I get tickets?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we'll get you some tickets saved at the box office. I'll save them for you. Just pay at the door, whatever." Because we are working really hard to get those kind of people in there. And then this happened and knocked the hell out of our schedule. And then, Randy was supposed to be out there with Alice Frost, right? And we had to rebook you for next year. I mean,
that was back in May.
Yeah, you were supposed to be there in May.
Yep.
And they draw. That's one of the local bands that does draw, and we would have sold that out. And we've sold out
2 nights.
2 nights. And we sold out Mischief. They've been around for 25 plus years, and we sold them out for 2 nights. And we sell out the Ernie LaRouche band every time they're in town. We sell out 350 seats for them. So all that income that we lost and they lost, are we going to get it back? When are we going to be able to go to 350 seats? We can't make it off of 50 seats. We can't make it off of 25 seats. So those kind of venues where we're not selling alcohol, we're selling tickets, and it's not the high price tickets that SPAC is selling. We're one of those little places. We're gonna have to work hard to do anything to keep that place going. Luckily, it's a charity. We don't make any money on it. It's charity situation. I've been doing fundraising for these guys since the start, and it's work. It's a lot of work.
Well, it's all changing, and I wish you luck up there. And this week, I'm heading to one of the drive-ins this week on Thursday for Jocelyn and Chris.
Yeah.
Troy Music
awesome.
Hall is
cool.
Teamed up with, I think, WEXT and Jericho Drive-In, so I'm going to check that out Thursday. And then we covered the Malta Drive-In with Side Bs. So people are being creative. I know Stephanie's finding live music all over the place. I'm sure Amy
Isn't that weird?
Oh yeah, I have that.
We find it.
I heard a rumor that Wild Adriatic was going to do something at the Glen Drive in Queensbury.
I hope so. They were just last night. They were at they did the Oregon Trio at Putnam.
Yeah, I heard they were going to do something or they were trying to do something at Glen Drive-In.
I was at a backyard barbecue with The Wheel doing the Grateful Dead thing. That was kind of cool too. But
that's neat. I've left you guys running far too long. I mean, this is such a great conversation. I'd love to do this every week. Quickly, what have you got coming up, guys? Anything booked or anything possible on the horizon? I mean, I know Fuzzy and Dave are still going to be doing their Daved and Confused every Friday or Saturday night, whichever night they do it, and doing the fundraising thing. But what are the rest of you guys going to be doing? Randy.
Well, on top of doing my own lighting, I also do lights for Sharpshooters and Wicked. So next Saturday, I'll be at Wicked outside with Tommy V.
Okay, cool.
So I'll be doing that next week, and I've got some stuff coming up if it don't get canceled. I just had one canceled this morning, but someone else wanted me to do a drive-in thing for them, so I picked up another show. So we have to see what happens. I'm supposed to do a fair in August.
Nice.
It was in Mayfield called the Bannertown Fair, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but I don't know how that's going to work out.
If the fair even stays. I mean,
Right.
they canceled
We
Saratoga
don't know
this
what's
year.
going to happen. So it's,
Yeah.
it would be, if it happens, it'll be Vinnie Michaels Thursday, Skeeter Creek Friday, and Tommy V on Saturday. So
Nice.
It's a nice lineup, and I don't have to tear my lights down for a couple days.
There you go.
That's nice.
So I got my fingers crossed that still happens, but I don't know.
We're crossing our fingers for you too, because I hate to hear when people lose gigs. Jason.
Well, I DJ every Saturday all summer long at a camp way up
Brown.
north.
Yes.
28.
You're still doing that this year?
Yep, 4th year.
All right,
Fills
awesome.
my Saturday. Fills every Saturday in July and August nicely, and I get to get paid to go camping.
And you get to go with your daughter too.
Yep. I got a couple of gigs coming up with bands, but they're private party situations.
Yeah, that's going on a lot too. I've noticed there's a lot of private parties out there that they're asking for our services. Stephanie, I think you've been to a few,
Yeah.
and Amy. I haven't been getting that. I've been getting a lot of the we're in the recording studio. Can you come film us while we record and things like that? Or we're recording at somebody's house. Can you come and film the the backstory stuff for later on? I'm getting a lot of that. So Stephanie, what's on the horizon for you, and Amy? Amy first.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So I know for me, this coming Tuesday, I'll be photo shooting Blue and Luke as they make their debut for the Town of Brunswick cover concert series.
Oh, that's cool.
And the Town of Brunswick is actually celebrating their 20th anniversary of their concert series as a whole. So I'll be photographing that each as well as possibly writing an upcoming blog for that. And I know I'm also going to be in the running to shoot in private party in a couple of weeks towards the end of July. So I'll have to see what my availability is for sure before I make that officially definite.
Yeah. If I can get to it, I want to see the Blue Hand Luke show. I haven't seen them in a while, so if I can get to that one, I'll probably come down for that one.
Yeah, definitely come down for that, because I also been helping the Town of Brunswick in their shows that they have during the summer. So usually I'll bring my iPad with me, and as long as I'm in a good spot, I can see the live show. As long as I have good service with my iPad, and it's been really great because then the people that work at the town are able to reshare the videos. That way people can see who played, and it gives the band an opportunity to share their moment of being at that venue or reliving that memory.
Right.
So it's all important for everything to happen all around.
Is the schedule for the Town of Brunswick stuff online somewhere? Do they have a schedule? I'll have to look for it.
Yeah, it's on the Town of Brunswick website, and also if you go to Westchester County Tourism on Facebook, Revely has all of the lineups for the Town of East Creek, English concert series, Howard Park concert series,
Yeah.
the Town of Statico, and the Town of Brunswick, and those are all in my area in their county.
The last time I shot at Powers Park, there was a scuffle and police, and I'll probably stay away from Powers Park for a while. Yeah, that part of town doesn't interest me right now. Let's get to this quick. Stephanie, what do you got coming up?
Closest one, I'm doing a lot with Vito and Ralph Renna. So I have Lester King's on the 9th, which I think is Tuesday.
Yeah, they're cool.
I'm going to be there. Yep, first time for me. First time. I've never seen him before, so that should be interesting. I'm hoping to see Tommy V on the 11th. Not quite sure yet. Blue Hand Luke. Also, that's the 7th. Yeah, 7th, 9th, and then the 11th. Dashboard Anthem in August. I think it's the 6th. I'm doing something since the Lake George Classical Music Festival was canceled, as well as all the other jobs I had this year. He did ask me to do one weekend, but I think it's going to be just a a private weekend on one of the boats.
Right.
And then after that, I'm getting some more secret locations that I can't disclose. So,
well, we won't force it. Yeah, we won't force it out of you.
So,
you can tell me later. You can tell me later.
But I'm doing some headshots for some people. Sandy McKnight had reached out to me. I'm going to be shooting him on Saturday, photographing him. But I'm doing some marketing for some of the bands with headshots, flyers, and again, undisclosed right now until they figure out what location they're going to put on their flyers. So
that used to be a big part of my business, Stephanie, is shooting short videos for their EPKs.
Right.
When the bands needed a video to send off to a venue. I did a lot of that in the beginning, a lot. That's a big part of my business.
If they're not out there performing, at least some of them are upgrading their websites and they're doing the promotion.
Right, and they're sending out their press packs and they're still trying to keep their name
when
out
they're
there.
ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, hopefully their information will be in the promoter's hands and they just hit go and continue. It's going to be a little rough because as we're seeing places that are starting to open, and I know I've been to dinner at some places and everything's been COVID friendly and all. But it's kind of scary the past couple of days, hearing about these places that had COVID or that they were just shut down because they're like elbow to elbow. Yeah. And it's like, I'm afraid that because of those few, it's really going to be bad for everyone else. And everyone else who's willing to go by the rules and deal with it, they may end up not being able to do so because of these people who are trying to push it a little too soon. No matter where you stand on whether or not you believe it's a hoax or whatever, it's political, I don't really care.
Just follow the rules. Be courteous.
Yes,
if they ask you to wear a mask, wear the freaking mask. If they ask you to stand 6 feet away from them, stand 6 feet away from them. Right. I mean, we're doing that at the theater when I'm live streaming. The band people are, because it's such a big stage, they are 6 feet or more apart, and I'm way up back in the seats away from them, and I'm wearing a mask. So, and if they ask you to, what's the point of arguing with them? Just do it. It's courtesy. It's courtesy.
Get it over with. I don't want to put someone else's job in jeopardy.
Right.
The people who work at the venue,
Puppy,
performers, everything.
He's a cutie.
Just do it.
Aww.
Yeah. Dave and Fuzzy, what do you got coming up, guys? Got any good shows I need to know about? Any more serial killer shows, Dave?
Let's
do that. I really want to do that with you one time. Hey.
We can pick one and do one.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day, too.
Golden State's going to be missing out of that book, and he's new.
I know. He's not in here.
And Samuel Little might not be in there yet.
Oh, I got an update on Samuel Little.
Is he over 90 yet?
I think it's 80 something, isn't it? Like 88 now?
Yeah, he's getting close to 90 confirmed.
He's getting close. Yep.
Like you had said earlier.
Sorry, you guys. We're into serial killers, and they're fascinating.
Like you said earlier, though, I think we might stick with Friday nights. It's a little more popular.
Yeah.
So, it's a little more raw than most people are used to. We go from everything from Bibles to buttholes, Christ to clitoris.
Yeah, they do.
We cover everything. So, if you're easily offended, tune in for the part you want to, tune out for the part you don't want to. But
it's Daved and Confused. Daved, not dazed. Just so people know.
Check it out now.
Yeah, it's awesome. And they've had great people on, and it can sometimes get down to really interesting discussions. Fuzzy's always changing his name too.
I do a pantsless also. I don't wear pants when I do the show.
Yeah, you got pants on now, like I asked you to,
I have
right?
because my neighbor's right here, and they don't really like the,
All right. That's
but
cool.
it's that, and we have Faced live stream coming up on the 25th of July, 7:30 to 8:30. That's on 518 Live Concerts on Facebook. All one word. Type that in, you'll get right to the site, and you don't have to. No passwords, no payment. Just all we ask is that people make a donation to the GoFundMe to help come out.
Yep. I'll advertise that show too because I filmed those guys before. They're nice dudes. Dave, just keep up the good work.
Thank you. It's a lot coming from you.
I want to I want to throw a shout out. If you guys are in Schenectady on Thursday, Jazz on Jay is back. So if you guys are into jazz music, starting Thursday, they moved it down the street a little bit. So
But they're
Jazz
still
on
going to
Jay
do it.
is going to happen this year. They have 11 shows or 11 weeks.
Nice.
So I want to throw that out there because we talk about all the genres. We kind of forget that our jazz scene in this area is pretty hot.
Yeah, I just did a jazz video for one lady. Yeah.
And of course, if people want to keep up with what's going on, go to nippertown.com.
Nippertown. Yep.
And if you want to write or photograph, I am taking writers and photographs, and I like every genre. The only thing is it's got to be local. We want to cover more and more local. So local
awesome.
metal, local jazz, local rap.
Everything.
I don't give a shit. Local art, local food, local beverages.
Everything.
Fucking keep it local, people.
That's awesome. That's awesome, dude.
So, I've already
Yeah, he's
reached out
doing
to
a great
Buzz
job.
And Dave, I've got to connect with you because I want to hear more about what you guys are doing because that sounds so awesome. Amy and Stephanie, I already love and adore. And Randy and Jason, we will be meeting, I'm sure.
Sure. Any of you guys want to
He
shoot
will.
a Facebook message invite? Let me know. We'll set something up.
Sweet.
Well, I'm glad we all came together.
One last thing, we're all worried about the local scene, but with what I see with all of us, we're not going anywhere. So I think the local scene will be fine.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
We don't do this because we want to. We do this because we need to. It's in our heart.
Yeah, it's part of us. So, thank you all for being my guests tonight.
Thank
I
you,
really
Steph. Thanks for
appreciate it.
having
I'm
me.
sorry to have you so long.
Thank you.
Definitely our queen up north.
Queen. Yeah, I gotta get down south a little bit more often, but I do want to say that if anybody out there is interested in streaming, get in touch with me because we've got a number of opportunities at the theater and also, from your own place because I do it here as well. So just get in touch. I want to keep the music going. Thank you for all of my guests coming here tonight. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Fuzzy, Stephanie, Amy, Jim, Gilbert. I love you, Jason, Jaybird. I know we didn't talk a lot, and it's been a while since I've seen you, but it's good to see you. And I'm glad you're doing I'm glad you're doing your campground gig again because that looks like fun. And Randy, my new friend, we're gonna probably hook up somewhere at the theater when you do one of these shows over there, and I'll be doing some stuff over there. So we'll probably get together at some point. And yeah, thanks for coming out, everybody. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate you being here. Oh yes, Jason, put your card up there. And feel free to drop your contact information on my Upstate page, who you are, what your services are, and I'll put a big thing together and let everybody know where and how to get a hold of all of you. All right?
Cool. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for doing that.
Great to meet you all.
Great to have you all. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, audience. All of you that stuck with us. That's fantastic. Next week, I have a Meet the Band show, a new project featuring Ben Zaleski, Luke Garrett, Matt Price, and Cody Bingham. It's called ZGBP. And it's a very interesting genre of music that they're creating, and it's all original. So it's something to watch next week. I'm going to have a couple of tunes to play, to preview for them. And the week after, I'm off because I have a live stream on Sunday night at the theater. So in place of this show, you'll see me streaming. And as always, if you got an idea for a show, get in contact with me. I'd love to hear your ideas. And thank you, and good night.